I envy that you can just put on a shirt and a hat and you're like ready to go, man.
I figured you had to get ready. You know what's cool is
so
like
unfair. Welcome to the MULLY Podcast. This is Coach Tsway from Alpha Female Fit. Today's episode, we deep dive on how to build a badass physique while break mental and physical barriers. Enjoy.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the MULLY Podcast. I am super stoked today because this is the first episode that I'm doing remote, like in someone else's home. And I had the good gracious to have, pronounce it for me again.
It's Tsway.
Tsway.
Yeah, so like it is kind of sound like sway is spelled sway, but with the T in the front. So try it again. Tsway.
Tsway.
Boom.
There we
You
go.
got it. You got it.
From Alpha Female Fit in the building. Show us your guns. I'm a little embarrassed, but that's okay because Corona's on the way. So, yes, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm so excited that you're here.
You have no idea. I'm stoked.
And I'm so excited that you're here in my home gym, which is
Right, check it
really
out.
exciting.
We're in a home gym.
I mean, this is really where the magic happens.
Tway is like in the middle of a move right now.
True
How
story.
crazy is that?
Yeah.
So for fitting me in the schedule, thank you for that as well.
No, you bet. It's an honor to have you here.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. So let's kind of delve into it. So obviously you're in fitness, right? We can definitely, the viewers can see. And if you're listening, please go on YouTube because you got to see Tway's guts because they're. So tell me a little bit more about Alpha Female Fit. Like what is it?
Sure. So I help alpha females to build badass physique at the same time to help them break mental and physical barriers. Now,
As I sit here and have a beer. While
yeah,
you're telling me
absolutely. Well, but you're not a female, so you're not my targeted audience.
Okay.
So that's okay. So
Perfect.
So you're free to go. But now, when I talk about doing that, right, like I think for most women out there, the number one thing that is important to help them gain confidence is how they look, right? I hate to say that. It's pretty shallow. We just had a huge conversation about why look is so important.
Right.
But look is important for women, right? And so that's the number one thing that I focus on is helping women to build badass physiques. However, there are other things that are more important. So really, building the physique is just an outcome.
It's like the byproduct of what happens.
Exactly.
From it.
It's the byproduct, right? I use it to kind of like wheel them in.
Right.
But in reality, what I'm really doing is a holistic approach.
Well, you're changing lives. That's what you're doing.
Thank you.
Yes. I've been in fitness off and on for 20 years now. I may not look it, but I sell it, right?
Yep.
We got the pleasure to meet each other at the gym in my final week in my last, the last company I was with. And to me, it's like a blessing in disguise, right?
It really is.
That was awesome. So let's kind of dive into that. So empowering women, you said basically it's the byproduct is the physique. So what exactly is entailed in this program?
Okay, so how I do it, I really try to do three things really well, right? I try to make things simple and stupid, right? Three things. The first thing I do.
Keep it simple, stupid.
That's right. That's what I go by, right? My whole life is keep it simple, stupid. So three things that I try to do extremely well. The first one is mindset training. I say this is because you cannot make somebody do what they are not willing to do, right?
You're 100% correct.
Yeah. And most of us out there, even the people who are not trainers, right? Professional trainers, they know what they're supposed to do. They're supposed to exercise and they're supposed to eat right. Everybody knows this, right?
But nobody wants to do it.
Exactly. Nobody actually do it. That's why most people don't walk around cut. That's why most people...
Because it seems hard. That's what it is. It seems hard. It seems like I got to eat chicken breasts, broccoli, and rice for every single meal of the day. Is that true?
I love that you said that. First of all, it's not 100% true, right? But I love how you talk about it seems hard, right? Because this matter of perception is so important. That's why the mindset training is number one thing that I try to get right. And what is the process on how to train somebody's mindset in understanding and wanting to do those things that makes them successful. Right? Be it fitness, be it in life, be it career, be it building a business, it doesn't matter. If our mindset is not right, it's not there. It doesn't matter if I give you the perfect formula, like here it is, do this, and 3 months later you will have awesome abs, right? It doesn't matter.
No, it doesn't matter.
Right? So that's the first thing. When we talk about, well, you have to make it so easy, and because people want to do it so much,
right,
that it doesn't seem hard.
Well,
right?
isn't that like how our brains work? Like, you notice a child can progress so much better than an adult because of behavioral. They're stuck in a pattern. Right.
I love that, right? Like, it's funny because that's my background. So in college, I studied psychology.
Okay.
And then in graduate school, I studied education. So
those together, right? You can, you're like, you can almost Jedi read someone's mind. Like,
I'm reading your mind right now.
I bet you are.
But what I really try to understand when I talk about somebody, it's actually we're all just like a bunch of 5-year-olds walking around.
All right.
At the end of the day, we're still just little kids. But understanding the behavior of children and how we learn things really help us tap into how can we modify our behavior and our thought as an adult, right?
I agree.
So that's something that really I try to get good at, and we are really good at on what we do, and that's number one. I talk about the mindset.
Okay.
And number two, the second thing I try to be really good at is personalized coaching, exercise and diet coaching and education.
Okay.
So this is something that I do a little extra than any other coaches I've ever had.
So
right?
so how are you doing it extra than any other coach?
Yeah, I'm glad you asked. I'm glad you asked, because this was one of my biggest frustrations. Now, I've been in the fitness realm, right, for like about 12 years now. And I've had many coaches, okay, in my fitness career. And one thing that really frustrated me the most was that even though some of my coaches were just amazing, they were full of knowledge, and they knew all these things. However, they were not very good at sharing that knowledge. So, and me as someone who is obsessed with self-improvement, which when I tell you that I'm obsessed, I am obsessed with self-improvement.
Well, I like we kind of joked about it before, is like, because I know you did a show before. You got to be semi-crazy to do any of these things. You got to have a little bit of craziness, but I get it. Go on.
Yeah, I feel like, you know, I am in this journey of self-improvement and spreading the gospel on how to be better and how to level up.
That's awesome,
right? But so then I can't do it without education. I mean, there's so many parts to education, right? I can give you, like again, I said I can give you a program saying like, this is the perfect program for you because it's personalized, which we do, right? This is the perfect exercise for you for what your goals are, and this is the diet limitations that you should eat to achieve your goals, to maximize your goals, right? Those are all fine and dandy. However, without the education piece, one of the big things you're lacking is communication. What you don't understand is that what people a lot of times they walk around and they think, well, I have a coach. The coach knows about my body the best. Wrong.
Right. You know about your body the best.
Yes, you do. But you don't have as much knowledge as the coach does, right? Usually, right?
So it's combining the knowledge from the coach and understanding your body and that cohesiveness of like getting to where you need to get.
Yes. And I'll give you an example, right? So like, let's say you're my client, okay? And I give you exercise, I give you diet, right? Like every other coach, right? So here you go, and go be great. Right?
Here it is. Here's the answers to the test.
Here's the answer to the test. I'll see you in a month.
But then no change.
And then no change, right? But what the problem was that you have no idea, as the client, you have no idea what you need to tell me in order to communicate with me, in order to make the best gains. To make optimal success.
Okay.
Right? Because you don't understand what goes into this program. You don't understand that sleep matters, the energy matters, right? That your stress matters, your hormones, your metabolism, your diet, what food, how, all
Stress.
these so many different things, aspects that is happening in your life right now will affect on how you progress.
So you're telling me that your program delves into all those aspects.
Well, I'm telling you that I educate my clients I continuously educate them as if they're trainers. Because, and I know a lot of coaches out there will be like, oh, that is a big mistake. You're basically teaching them how to leave you. I'm not. Well, and if they want to leave me, that's great. And that's fine. That means I did my job and they're going to go on and do awesome, right? But what I'm doing is teaching them how to communicate with me. Because we're together as a team. For me, this is a team effort. This isn't me, coach, say, hey, go do this, and then come back to me. I
think that's the biggest reason why people that become a trainer fail.
Yep.
They get a cert or a degree. They go work for a large gym chain.
Yep.
But the gym chain is sales oriented. These people don't understand sales. They want the best for the client, but then they're managed to sell.
Yes.
And then they can't do it, and then they give up. They leave.
Yes.
I've seen a turnaround. I was a general manager, in the fitness industry for quite a while, and that was the biggest thing I seen. Unless the fitness manager director, exactly, you said, they could communicate to the person to make sure they built a relationship and you're understanding your client to that next level. So applause to you. I think the psychology and education background definitely, came into play. So were you into fitness while you were doing that, or was this something that happened later?
That's really funny you mentioned that, because never have I ever thought about fitness when I went into psychology.
Okay.
I didn't get into fitness until I joined the military. So
you're in the military.
Yes. Yes.
So you're active duty and you do this.
Correct. I'm active duty right now, and I do this on the side.
Oh, entrepreneur. Just saying.
That's right. When I first got into the military, actually, I did not look like this, I tell you. Not even a little bit. I definitely didn't have the mindset that I do now. I was always kind of scared of everything, and I was afraid to try. I couldn't even do 8 girly push-ups. I say 8 because I kind of half-assed did it, but it was really weak and the form was really poor. And I'm not talking about full push-ups. I'm talking about girly ones.
Like on the knees.
Yes, the ones on the knees.
Yeah.
But I couldn't even lift my stomach up. That's how weak I was.
Right. But before the show, you were showing off to me and doing 10 pull-ups.
I was showing off to him. I was like, I'm just going to warm up. I'm just going to warm up my guns. What should I do? And then I realized he's got all his crap all over my gym. So I have nowhere to move. And then I looked over. I was like, yeah, I'll just do some pull-ups. That'll show him who's boss around here.
That's crazy. So, and I think that's the biggest thing, right? Is when fitness changes someone's life, that's when the passion comes in and you want to share that forward.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's bring it back. I'm pulling you off topic because that's what I do. So number 1 on the system was again.
Oh, yes. So number 1 is mindset training.
Okay.
And the process of how to train somebody's mindset to.
Okay. And then number 2 was the education of workouts and nutrition, but by communicating to you and communicating to the coach. Correct.
So they get personalized exercise and diet. Okay. But in addition to that, they get the training on top of it too.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. And what is number 3?
Okay. So number 3, community support. Okay, so this is something that took me a while to build, right? Okay. Because what I've come to realize, even me in the fitness space and having different coaches to help me in my world, I realized what I was missing community support.
So you're saying community within all of your clients?
Correct.
Okay.
All of the women that are like-minded women, they're all alpha females, and I'll talk about that, what I mean by that later. If you allow me. But
40-minute podcast going 2 hours, ladies and gentlemen.
I know, right? And we really try to keep this low, but I have so much to say. So for that community is so important. I think that what we don't understand is that sometimes we're like, okay, I'm going to do this. You set a goal. And then even some people, when they're building a business, right? They're like, oh, I'm going to do this. I'm going to build a business. I'm going to do this, right? And then they go into their house and they go into their desk and they start going to the drawing board and they sit there for 6 months trying to make this perfect thing.
Guilty.
Right?
Yeah.
And then nothing get accomplished.
It took me 2 years to do this.
2 years
to start this podcast. Did 5 episodes, and then I stopped because I was insecure of the video. I wanted the video to be better.
Right.
But really, I mean, the content is what matters, what we're talking about.
Yes.
But to us and the demons that we all face, right?
Yes.
Everyone has their own struggles. So I understand what you're saying. So the community, everyone that support is going to hold each other up versus I'm on my own.
I'm on my own.
And then they're never going to start.
That's right.
Or if you do, you're going to start, but you're never going to finish.
Exactly. So you're going to start because when people are like, oh, I really want to do this, and they get this motivation bug, and they're like, yeah, I'm going to do it. It's New Year's, I'm going to do it, right?
New year, new you.
That's right.
Or new me, whatever.
And that motivation bug lasts about a month.
Yeah.
What people don't understand, and you'd see this, right? You've been a manager for gyms for a long time, most of your life, right? So you understand.
Oh my God, yes, half of my life.
Can I say this on air? I hate them motherfuckers because around January time, it's like the worst time to go to the gym.
Yeah, because you have all the resolutioners that take up all the space.
They don't unrack their stuff.
Right.
Like
So gym etiquette 101, people. If you go to the gym, wipe down your equipment, re-rack your weights.
Yes.
And respect each other. Like that's like come on now.
Yes. I mean.
Yeah. Well, and here's the thing though. That's the membership's counselor's fault, because the person that enrolled them should have instilled those behaviors prior to that.
Correct.
And that's why the last place, I'm not going to mention where we met, but the last place, the gym that I was at, it was by far the cleanest gym I've ever worked for.
Yes, true story.
And it was because of the culture, and the gentleman that I worked for, he instilled that culture there.
Yeah.
And that was a good thing.
Yeah.
But you're right. Majority of the gyms, especially on posts,
military gyms are the worst.
Well,
I can't even.
That's why I love signing up military guys. I was the guy that signed up all the military guys, and then my boss is like, "Brah, go tell your boy re-rack his weights."
Yes.
And I'm like, "Oh."
You know what? Here's my point, right? Your last set is not my first set. I don't care how strong you think you are or how strong I am. But you need to realize your last set is usually your heaviest set. My first set, I'm trying to warm up over here, okay? I'm not going to just jump on 200 pounds. What I want to do is work my way up to it. But if you don't have the strength or the energy to unrack your weight, then don't use that heavy weight. But actually, when you're unracking and re-racking your weights, that's your break. That actually helps you with calorie output, which helps you with your goal.
Well, and that's like the premise of like CrossFit, right? Because they're constantly moving.
Yeah. Don't even get me started on CrossFit.
I know. There's so many pros and cons. The worst I hate is just I hate that the people have no form. Because there's really good boxes and there's really bad boxes. That's really how it boils down to. But like anything else, right? Yes. But my thing about the gym is if think of it this way. Like I'm 40. My parents are in their 60s. Would you leave the weights for you to make your mom and dad re-rack or your grandparents re-rack it? No, you wouldn't, right?
You wouldn't.
And if you did, then shame on you because you weren't raised right and you need a slap in the ass.
I totally agree.
Yeah.
That's something that really irks me. That's why I always have, like gym memberships outside the military, because that's something that I can't stand. And I don't want to be the person that walks around and be like,
Can I ask what you do in the military?
So I am a warrant officer in the military. Yeah.
All right. Sorry, yeah. So how long have you been in?
I've been in like 11 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
And do you like it?
I love it. Yeah. I love the military. I think one of the reasons I love military is because military really introduced me to fitness. That's awesome. Earlier when I talked to you about, right, my mindset was completely different. When I first joined the military, I was already old as shit. I'm old as shit now, right? Like military standards.
Okay, military style. I was going to say because that means I'm old as shit too.
No, you're totally old as shit.
Wow. Okay, great.
Yeah. I mean, I just turned 39, right? So for military years, that's like, forget it. You
can retire, right?
Yeah, you can retire, right? But I can't because I joined military already old as shit, right? I joined at 27 years old. Before I joined military, I used to own a business. And when 2008 happened,
Oh, okay. Yep.
the
The
economic
housing
crash
bubble.
happened.
Yep.
You remember that? So I went from like, hot shit to like nothing.
Well,
right?
I do finance on the side as part of one of my side hustles, and that's like one of the things we preach about. So, what kind of business did you have?
So I had an organizational business. We did, so it's two-part, right? So we did like planning events, like city events, corporate events, weddings, those kind of things.
Wow.
But we also had a rental storefront that we rented things to help with those events.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So it was
Man.
pretty decent. But then
cool.
when the economy crashed, then when I realized I had to join the military because I sold my company, and my husband at the time was already been in for a while, and he was always like, "Oh, you make a terrific officer," and that's what he always said to me, and I didn't join as an officer. I actually enlisted.
Oh, wow.
I did, because he said that every officer he ever respected was enlisted first.
Well, and that makes sense though,
Yeah.
because there's the guys that come in with a degree and they have no clue, and they're like, "Salute me because of my rank."
Yeah.
And they have no leadership skill because they have no life skill
Yeah.
because they're still young. Let's
They're
think
still
about
young,
it.
right? And it's no fault of their own, but that's just how the system is. set
Exactly.
up,
That's
right?
the culture of it.
Yeah.
And it's like jump how high kind
Right.
of type. Yeah.
And at that time, I was already like, I've already done some stuff, right? So,
Yeah.
but I built my company from the ground up at the time. So I knew the
Wow.
value of like knowing the job before you become a leader.
Yeah.
Right. So when he said that, I was like, well, that makes sense. I need to know what it is, what it means to be a soldier, and how to soldier before
I applaud you. That's awesome.
But I don't know if that was the best
Nah,
decision,
whatever.
because being enlisted sucks.
I can only imagine.
No offense.
Shout out
Actually,
to the soldiers out there. So my grandfather was actually a lieutenant colonel on Schofield Barracks.
that's awesome.
Yeah. I mean, he had retired like way before I was even born. But
Yeah.
so I always had a soft spot for military.
Yeah.
Like, that's just the thing. And so every time I enroll the guys at the gym, I'm like, oh, my grandpa was a lieutenant. They're like, whoa. And then the young 19-year-olds say,
Yeah. I mean, there's still like definitely there's like the whole worship of the people who in special communities,
Oh, of
or a
course.
certain rank,
Yeah.
or certain things that people have done. That's definitely very prevalent in our community. So that's still a pretty cool thing. When he convinced me to do that, he didn't have to do a lot of convincing. I just thought it was a good idea. I was like, okay, I'll go and I'll learn the job, and then
Sure.
I'll switch over, because there's a system already set up to do that.
oh, well, that's good. That's good to know. So for at least people out there that don't understand.
Yeah, and at the time, when I joined, I told you like how weak I was. My mentality, because my husband was infantry, and my mentality was that I had to be a soldier. Like I wanted people to see me as capable,
Okay.
right? Because I wasn't capable. I couldn't do freaking 8 girly push-ups,
Right.
right? So then that really was a kick in the ass. Like I realized I need to get better at this. I need to be able to soldier right alongside the men. Like I didn't want to be seen as less. So I started training. That's really what started this entire journey.
Wow.
In the middle of training, and I went through, basic, and I was able to challenge myself in so many different ways that I didn't think that I was able to in before.
Right.
But what really challenged me was I ended up having chronic compartment syndrome, and I started going
I don't know what
paralyzed.
that means.
So basically, it's bilateral. Like my lower legs does not release pressure, so all the blood kind of gets trapped there when I run. When I go like this with my feet, so
Okay.
it kind of pumps blood.
So it just
when
cramps
does-
up. It's just
it
like
cramps up, right? So it gets stuck in there, and then what it ends up doing, it starts to build up, and it fractures your bones
whoa.
all the way up till that you can go paralyzed.
So you're saying like the pressure from the blood, because it's not going back up, it just
right?
crushes the bones.
It
basically.
crushes the bones, essentially. That's how bad
Oh,
it
that
can
is
get.
crazy. I've never heard of this in my life.
It's insane, and very few people have it, and it's hereditary most of the times.
Oh, interesting.
Right? So you can have two forms of it. You can have the acute, which is like you can go paralyzed like that.
Wow.
Or you can have the chronic version, which is what I had, which you can slowly go paralyzed if you continue to run. And that's what happened to me. I started going paralyzed for like a year and a half. Like I couldn't feel my feet, and then it just started to like travel upward.
Oh my goodness. Well, it's damaging on the nerves, right?
It was, and then, you know, in military, for some of you out there who are in the military, you understand how like their medical system isn't always the best. So they didn't discover this for a long time. Like I said, I was going paralyzed for a year and a half before they finally sent me to a specialist and discover what I had and what happened. But if I could not run, I could not go officer. Like the whole point of me joining the Army
was to become an officer. And now you can't run. So it's like, what the fuck's the point?
Right. And wouldn't you say, what the fuck was the point? But this was like my, you know.
Well, it's kind of crushing. It's like your dreams are being crushed now.
Absolutely. It was absolutely being crushed. And they were trying to give me a permanent profile, and they were trying to do all these things. And I was like, no, I'm going to keep trying. So I tried everything, I tell you, Dustin, like everything.
Well, obviously something you tried worked, because at this moment you're here where you are. Look at you, you're getting emotional in front of me. Wow, thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy, because at the time when I was going through this, and there are times that I was in so much pain, I would just wake up screaming, right? I would just wake up screaming. That would just be like a normal day. It wasn't anything so special, because the pain was there, and I was still running. I was running all the time, so it was making it worse.
Right. Well, obviously.
Right. And eventually I had to come to realization that I couldn't keep running.
Yeah.
If I keep running, I will go paralyzed.
Right.
But through that journey, I had learned so much about running, right? Because I tried every single way.
Oh yeah, because you're probably researching like, okay, maybe like, is this shin splints? Is this right? Is this just
well, that's what they said it was. It was shin splints, right? So I believe that's what it was. So I got really expert on what shin splints is all about. And that's why I'm like, this is not shin splints, and it took a specialist to tell them that. But through my research, I already knew that that's not what this is.
Right.
This is. And I eventually learned to get really good at other things. So that's really when I got into bodybuilding, because we have this.
So you get to strengthen everything else. That's why.
That's right.
Right.
And because I didn't want to accept that this was over. At the time, I wasn't thinking like, oh, I need to have a strong mindset. I wasn't thinking that at all. I was just thinking that I need to support my family, because provide for our family. And and the business already, it's over. So at this point in my life, I'm like, I have to make this work. Like, there's no, I should make this work. Like, I have to.
You have to, right?
Right. So what can I do? So then I got into other things, right? We have this PT test you have to take, so you have to get good at like push-ups and sit-ups, and then there's the run.
Right.
So then I was like, I'm gonna get really, really good at the push-up and sit-ups, right? Like right now, I just need to put the whole officer thing on hold. I just need to do what I do to be a really good soldier.
I just need to be able to stay employed.
Exactly, stay employed, right? Like, like had to shift my standards real quick,
right?
And that's what I did. So I was never looking at, because that test, the standard test, was split by age and by whether you're male or female. So then I would look at like the hardest thing to get the most amount of points to max. So I would look at the 18-year-olds like male standard, right? And that would be like 70 or 80 push-ups.
And that's what you wanted to do.
That's what I wanted to do. So I'm like, I'm going to get really fucking good at that.
Yeah.
So then I will overcompensate, but I don't care, right? And then there are other things.
Because then you'd be like, fuck you guys, look, I'm doing this much push-up and sit-ups or whatever it may be. Okay, my run sucks, but I have a condition. Right. So I crush everything else. Now
and I'm not going to lie, like Army, they're not, military in general, right? Like, because you're just a bunch of alphas, and there's no excuse, right? Like, they don't want to hear your excuses. And I understand that. Sometimes I'm like that too. I don't want to hear your excuses, right? So what I needed to do was just get really good at other things. And that's what I want to do. I want to get really good at rucking. I want to get really good at, being able to do push-ups, being able to do a fucking pull-up. Like that was the longest time. That was my goal was that if I can just do one pull-up, right? I'll be the fucking badass, right? And these are things that was in my mind that I wanted to do, that I feel that was going to prove to others that I can, fight right along you and be soldier right along you and get that respect.
Woo! I like it. And that's where it started. That's where the alpha female became in.
Yeah, that's where it started.
So I always ask people what's their why. So obviously, I mean, you've kind of explained it already. Like that was your why, right? So what transgressed into wanting to share this with others?
That's a really good question. I will say, I don't think it's like one thing that happened, even though I do have a story. But I think it's a series of events that really led me to where I am today.
Okay.
So many obstacles has happened in my journey that got me here that I don't even know which stories to pick to tell you.
Okay.
But in the end, on the other side, right, where I am, like where I've competed and I've won like championship for like armed forces figure bodybuilding, and I took like #1 for all.
How many shows have you done?
Like this is a long story. I've done 2 shows, and there is a reason for that too. I've trained for maybe about 6. So that's a crazy story all in itself. Because if those of you who do compete, you understand just how insane, how much effort is put into training just for one show.
Oh, of course. That's why I told you were crazy.
Yeah, and
I dieted for one show, and then the insecurities were hitting. I was like, I don't even look good enough. So I was like, fuck it. After we're talking like 4 weeks out, and then I just went out and started partying. What a waste!
What a waste!
Because that was the demon saying you're gonna suck anyway. So who cares? Who cares though, right? Just do it, and that would have been such a good learning experience.
It's so crazy you said that, right? And when we talk about these demons, this is something that I talk about with my clients.
I was like, wait a minute here.
We're all patients, in a way, for some area of our life. But, I talk about this because we actually, as humans, we have anywhere between 60 to 90,000 thoughts a day. Okay?
60 to 90,000
thoughts
and
a day.
And someone that's in depression is getting 90,000 thoughts of negativity a day.
Oh, you're wrong. Most people actually have negative thoughts. Not somebody who are like clinically depressed. Most people with those 60 to 90,000 thoughts, most of those thoughts are negative.
That makes sense.
So it's like
it's self-doubt.
It's self-doubt, right? We all have it, and we still struggle with it. So the first thing that we need to do is realize. They've done studies like this before where they make people write down these thoughts that they have, right? So they just kind of go through their day and they just kind of write down like what thoughts you're having. Oh, I'm so stupid. Why did I do that? God, I can never fucking do anything, right?
Right.
And they just write these thoughts down. And then they take them to the other room where their like little sibling, like their little sister is sitting there. And they ask them to read, to tell them, the little sister, some of the words that they're saying to themselves. They're like, no way. I would never fucking say that to my little sister, right? And that's the thing that I want, our alphas to understand is that we treat ourselves so poorly where we wouldn't even treat our strangers or sometimes our enemies that way.
But we do it to ourselves.
But we do it to ourselves on the daily. On the daily.
That was a struggle that I had for a long time, still deal with. So I've been in leadership for a long time.
Yeah.
And I put every ounce of energy into other people. And the new career I'm doing, I'm not going to be part of any leadership. I'm not even doing sales anymore. I'm like strictly just doing a job. And I'm like so excited. I'm like, yay. But deep down, it's not. I mean, I think maybe that's where the podcast comes in because I can still express the leadership aspect of it. But and that's why I do this. If someone can just take this away, just this little ounce of freedom through is that Right. Life is hard. And the thing is in our day and age, it's so different because we're getting force fed all of these. What is success? What is this?
That's right.
Like social media, everyone's posting all these happy things.
Yes.
Like come on now.
Here's the thing, right? When you have these negative thoughts, what is really happening is that you're becoming self-aware. When you notice you're having these regular thoughts, first of all, everybody has negative thoughts, okay? Like even the people that are out there preaching like amazing things, like you have a podcast, right? You have a podcast that you make impact into people's lives and try to inspire others to be entrepreneurs and follow their dreams. But in the same time, you just admit that you have negative thoughts. I will admit right now, I have negative thoughts. Every day I have them and I try to combat them, right? What people don't realize that that's absolutely fucking normal. What we need to do is to be self-aware of them.
There we go. Normalize it.
Yes, normalize it, but we have to be aware of it. And we needs to train our mind just like we train our muscles.
And that's why you have step one
is mindset training. That's right. That's why it's so important. Is that it's not going to, you're not just going to wake up one day and be like, I'm going to be good to myself today. And I'm going to do the right things. I'm going to eat right. I'm going to exercise. I'm going to love myself. Fucking bullshit, right? You are going to do that for like 5 hours and then you're going
you're going right back to your same fucking routine.
Right. Because it requires habit. It requires training.
Right.
It's just like when I couldn't do a goddamn girly push-up. I couldn't even do a full girly push-up. But now you just saw me busting out a whole bunch of pull-ups. Like it was nothing.
So let me ask you a question. So if someone is inspired and wants to become on your program, what do they have to do?
So I do an interview process.
Okay.
I don't just take on any clients.
Oh, wow.
Right. Because I want to make sure that you're ready, right? It is an investment. It is investment not only financially on your part and your time, but it's an investment in me and my community. Because I have an entire community of women, alpha women, who wants to have these goals to level up, right? And I want to preserve that. So I will interview you to make sure that you're ready, to want to know where your mindset is.
What's the woman word? There's Tom, Dick, and Harry for men. What is that? There is that, right?
I don't even know. Yeah, there is.
Yeah, so you won't take no Tom, Dick, and Harry, but like it has to be someone that.
But you know what? Here's the thing, right? When we talk about alpha women, like you don't have to be amazing already to be part of Alpha Female Fit, right?
You just have to be willing.
You just have to be willing. That's right. You have to be willing to commit, and you have to want it bad enough. When I say, what do you mean by willing to commit? I mean that you want it. Like you want it.
Sacrifice, baby.
It's not even about, you're not even thinking about sacrifice. What you're thinking about is, I am tired and sick of being where I am today.
Okay.
I am sick of being this. I need change. You have to realize that you need change, because I can't make you change unless you're like, I don't want to be here anymore. I don't know what that looks like, and I don't know where I want to be, what I want to look like, but I know I don't want to look like this. I know I don't want to be this. I know I don't want to walk in front of these people and can't do a fucking pull-up. I know I don't want to go to this wedding and look like this and not fit in this dress. I know I don't want, right? So I have to see where you are in terms of your determination. That really kind of helps me determine whether that you're ready.
Okay.
And the second part is that I have to make sure that I can help you, right? Because
I like that. I like how you just said that, if you're able to help them.
Absolutely. Because
other coaches are like, oh, I got you no matter what. Like a tattoo artist. Oh, I can do whatever I want.
I can do whatever, right?
But
and no, I definitely don't want to promise anything that I cannot deliver, because, me, reputation is everything. Reputation is everything. I will try everything that I can do to ensure that you're going to be a success. Now, I'm not saying it's going to be 100%, right? There's going to be special pay cases where I'm like, I know this person's ready, but then they prove to me they're not ready. After all, right? That happens.
Of course.
There's going to be variables and that we cannot control, but I want to limit that. But first of all, I want to make sure that, like, ability wise and my coaching expertise, I can help this person.
Okay.
Right?
Well, that's fair.
For women specifically, there's so many things you got to consider, because it's not just calorie in, calorie out, which is yes, it is the basic, but there's insulin, there's hormones, there's metabolism, right? There's our age, there's what performance you're trying to do. Have you had any injuries? All these things come in play, and then your schedule on top of it, right?
Right.
So all these things come in play, and I need to look at your situation and be like, yep, absolutely, I can help you, and we're gonna kick ass. And
So do like they fill out like a form first? They go through a consultation?
so I usually talk to them. I
Okay.
usually like
No, but
schedule
say
a call.
okay. So how do they schedule that call?
So they would fill out an application on my Instagram. So
okay.
on my Instagram, there is an application. They go to the application, they fill it out, they schedule a call.
Got it.
Right, and then
What's
talk
that
to them.
Instagram?
It's alpha female _ fit.
Okay, so that'll be in the description below if you're watching us on YouTube, and if it is if you're listening through any major podcast, it'll be in the description of the podcast as well. Okay, so they fill out that form.
Yep. And
then you schedule a call.
I schedule a call, and
Okay.
then I talk to them. Right.
Beautiful.
Because that's really the only way to figure out. And for me, I build this company around results. I am just about results. Like that's what I want. I want to because
Yeah.
people want results, right? They want change.
Well, yeah,
And
we all do.
That's not, and that's a no offense because I know you worked in the gym for a long time, right? But when people go to the gym, they are paying a trainer for an hourly service.
Well, or they're signing up for failure. Let's put it that way.
Right. And that's not what I'm about, because for me, it's like when I take you on, that's a commitment. That's a commitment, my commitment to your change. And I definitely don't want to easily give that away to anybody, but for the people that do come on, and that's why, like, if you go on to my Instagram page, you see these transformations from these women, right? These are the women that I've committed to, and they committed to the program.
So all their testimonials are right there.
That's right. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Like, I knew when I met you, there was a connection already. That was so cool. And for you to share that, like, that's amazing. I never in a million years would have figured that, like, couldn't even do some girly push-ups.
Thank you. I appreciate it. That means I made it. That means I made it.
All right. Well, I want to kind of transition a little bit, like, so people can really get to know you for you. Like, you gave away your age. You weren't even afraid to do that. Most women are. Kudos. And she called me old as fuck because she knows I'm older. How's that shit, huh? So what was your upbringing like? Because those kind of things might, people can kind of see and determine, like, like that they might connect with you even more. Like,
so this is really interesting because, well, maybe not interesting. Earlier when I was thinking like some things I'm gonna talk about, and then I was like, well, maybe he'll ask me about my upbringing, and maybe I'll talk about it, maybe I won't, because
whatever you want to share.
I'm actually an immigrant, right? I immigrated to America, like 12, 13 is when I came over.
Oh, okay.
So when I was young, my journey of like hardship, I think, really started when my father left when I was really young, when I was like 6, right? And then my mother left to immigrate to this country when I was like 8. So like at a very young age.
So they both immigrated here?
To here, right.
So he went first?
Right, he went first. And so it was just me and my mom back home.
Then she left?
And then she left. And then it was just me and I stayed with my grandparents. Yeah.
Until
I came here.
Wow.
Until I was like 12, 13.
But you guys are all together though?
So when we came here, we were together. Poor, but together. But, and that's actually was a step up because, how I grew up was, and that probably part, I don't know, so many people can relate in their own way.
Right.
But I grew up with nothing.
Yeah.
Right? Like with nothing. Like we really, like we had to burn coals to stay warm in the winter. Like that's how poor that we were. But everybody was poor. It wasn't like my family was special. At that time, people were it was just poor. You just didn't know what that was. It was just whatever.
It was just normal.
It was just normal. That's right. And coming here, we were poor in the U.S., but we didn't know it because it was way better than what we had before.
Right. Well, that's what I'm saying.
Right?
I was like, hey,
but I knew
I didn't have to burn coal no more.
I didn't have to burn coal no more.
So for you, it's like being rich.
yeah, it was kind of like a step up, you know. But
Right.
it
Perspective,
didn't
right?
it didn't take very long before I realized, no, I was poor as shit. Like, you know, being like from an Asian family, like, you know, my parents were like super into education, so they made sure that I go to. We didn't
Because
have
they
money.
wanted you, right? That they
Right.
brought you here for the dream, the
Yeah,
American
for the dream, right? Like I'm the American dream, right?
Right. It was you.
It was me because my parents didn't speak English. They couldn't do the job they did before,
Right.
right? So like I had to translate everything for them, and you know, and when, you know, when I went to, so they made me go to a Catholic school. We're not Catholic, by the way, okay? But it was like the only private school around. They wanted me to have a good education. And that's where I realized, wow, we're fucking poor. Like, you know, and because people would like drive to school in like Mercedes and like all these nice cars. And here
Right.
comes my dad and his like, you know, like 78 Buick that like, you know, like pop, like a pop. Like,
Yeah,
it was,
yeah.
like, really loud. Yeah.
Did you watch the movie Uncle Buck?
Oh, it was, yeah. It was,
Remember when he picks him up? He was like,
yeah, that's exactly the sound that it made. It was hella embarrassing.
Oh, that's funny because our age just came out with that Uncle Buck.
Oh, it was
No, but I that well, so you've already experienced struggle at a young age then.
very, very, and I, as a matter of fact, like I was picked on a lot because I didn't speak English. I was in a school where they didn't have ESL. I was like one of 2 Asian families in the entire town.
Get a bowl haircut too.
And then, yeah, it was, well, did I? But I mean, it was haircut given by my dad.
I'm just making trouble, but yeah, I'm only pushing buttons, but I get it, right?
Yeah.
I get it, yeah.
And you know, the whole school was predominantly white, and there was one black family, and there was us, and it was, you know, and then there was another Asian family who didn't want nothing to do with me because
They were like American Asian.
right, they were American Asian, and I was making them look bad because
They're like, come on, you making us look like the guys on TV that they're teasing.
yeah, like I mean, you know, they didn't say that to my face, but
Yeah.
they were not, you know,
they weren't friendly.
They were, yeah,
They
we
were probably
weren't friends.
they were probably
We weren't friends.
they're probably worse than you than the white kids were.
You know, it's really it's sad how sometimes that is the way it is,
Yeah.
right? Like, and I think that's why I think as an adult, I'm really big on advocating for minorities or for other people who feel like they don't have a fair shake, because I just hate bullies. Like I've
Yeah.
been bullied on as a kid so much that I don't have any like bad feelings towards those guys, because I really am appreciative actually for that experience. It made me who I am today.
Sure.
But in the same time,
But when it's happening to you, right? It's like
while it's happening,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, as a kid, you know, like kids are just cruel. It's what it is. But it really helped me to get to know myself a lot better. And I think now, as an adult who is with more power and has
Sure.
more confidence, I want to stick up for those who feels powerless and are the little people. And I think that's part of all me trying to do this, right? Helping
right.
those who don't feel like they know what to do and they feel powerless, but I know the formula. I know the blueprint to become an alpha female.
ladies, if you're listening, and this is, I'll tell you right now. So if you go to my analytics, right, on all my shows, it's 100, pretty much all men. All my shows is all guys that listen to it. That's why I was super stoked to have you, because I'm like, okay, like now all her clients will watch it. Maybe they'll spread the news, and and I'm excited to grow that. But when it comes down to it, that's really what it is people helping other people.
Yes.
And I think that's what everybody wants to do, but they get influenced by. And I talked about this on my fear episode I just posted, was sometimes the people around you are the worst people.
Yes.
Because they're the ones holding you back.
Yes.
Because they know the version of you
Yes.
that you do not want to be. You want to be
Yes.
something else. And then when you try to do it, they're like, oh, you're going to fail.
Yeah.
And that is some fucking bullshit, because
Yeah.
those are the people that should be supporting you no matter what.
Yes.
And then what I've noticed is my circle is getting smaller and smaller
As you get
every
older.
single day.
Yep.
You know, my son told me the other day, he goes, Dad, you have so many friends. And like, well, I've been in sales for, 20 plus years. So I've built a ton of relationships, right? I was in the nightclub scene. I MC bars all the time. So
Right.
that's why I have no fear on the mic.
Yeah.
But, and I know so many people, but my son was like, wow, how do you have so many friends? And I told him, I said, a lot of them are not real friends. I said, there's people that I know,
Yeah.
you know, and I said, sometimes those ones that you just know
Yeah.
are actually the cool ones. And I said, the people that really know you judge you the worst.
Yeah.
Right? They judge you because of the things that you've done in your past. And I'm guilty of it too.
Yeah.
I do it to some of my friends too. But people need to realize, like, we're ever evolving every single day. We're not the same person we were yesterday.
That's right.
Every day and then if we stumble, fall, we can get right back up and make a change. It's like we're not ever stuck in that version, but that's what people get stuck in. They stay that way, and they self-loathe, they self-push down, and they get stuck doing these things. And
here's another thing, right? Like, I think as people and in general, there's a few things that's working against you. One is social media, right? Social media is supposed to be built for this like connection.
Yeah, no, it's built to separate. Now, well, it's become separating.
Absolutely.
And I feel like the people running it like purposely love it.
Oh, I mean, regardless, right? Like, regardless what the purpose is and all that, you have to understand when you turn on social media for anything but just to waste time and just looking around, and you're looking at your friends, or you're looking at, you know, your peers, and they're on vacation, or they have the new house, or they're looking fit, or they're doing whatever, right? I'm just as guilty. I'd be posting some stuff because I am a public image. So I post some things that are like, you know, like I'm super cut. Like, first of all, look at me right now. I'm not that cut right now, right? Like, because I that's not what I'm doing right now, right? But I don't always post pictures of me looking like this.
Oh, of course, you're going to post you in your prime.
I'm going to post
weeks
me
before the show or during the show, right?
Exactly. But what you have to understand, and what I try to, try to build my program to make women understand, is that we have to get our values from our worth to ourselves, of the things that we accomplish.
Self-worth
right?
is one of the biggest things that I think society is having a hard thing with right now.
Absolutely. We have to attach our value to the things that we accomplish. If we attach our value comparatively to what somebody else has done or have or accomplished, then you are going to never win.
No.
You're never going to win.
You're gonna be chasing,
I know this.
Chasing.
Absolutely. I know this because I come from a culture that's all about comparison, right? Not to shit on my culture, right? Like, a lot of cultures are like this. But you're raised, a lot of old school culture, you're like, oh, look at so-and-so, and they were doing this.
Do better.
Look at that. Better than them, and right?
Crazy Rich Asians, right?
Yeah,
like the
exactly.
movie, right? Like,
exactly. Look at, your cousin so-and-so is doing this, your cousin so-and-so is doing this, right? And
how come they're doctor, you're not doctor?
yeah,
Like, I'm sorry.
Exactly. No, absolutely.
Real, right?
Absolutely, right? Like, I remember even...
Like, your manager, nothing.
Yeah. I love my parents to death. They've been very supportive of me throughout my life. But, my parents are just guilty. Like, I remember in my high school, when I graduated with honors, I remember my mom was going through the program, was like, oh, who's these like two people that graduate with distinguished honor? Why are you not? And one of them was like a Chinese name. So fuck, I'm
So
really
even more
screwed,
so, like-
right? Like, why are you not one of those people?
Right. And guess what?
Yeah.
We know them. They're not as
Yeah.
good as you.
Yeah,
Like, right,
yeah.
or whatever. Right. Like, well, okay, honor is good, but not distinguished.
Right.
Or cum laude, not summa cum laude.
Right. Exactly.
Or whatever it may be, right?
And that's
Oh, my
what I
goodness.
want women to understand. When I talk about alpha females, you don't have to be somebody amazing. Although we have amazing people, right? We got colonels, we got CEOs, VPs, we got lawyers, like we got spiritual leaders, we got all kinds of women that are amazing. We have mothers, right? But it's not your lot in life that makes you alpha. It's your mindset, right? It's who you are and how you perceive yourself. Or
agree
you
with that.
wanting to better yourself in this journey.
Yep.
We have to be able to look at what we've done and say that, wow, like, look at what I'm able to accomplish, right? Because something that's something that seems easy to me, that could be so hard for somebody else.
Sure.
But that doesn't mean that person is less hard than I am. You got to realize that, right? Because I've lived a life, you heard my story. I literally had to burn coal to stay warm for the winter. We ate nothing but cabbage soup some winters, right? So something that seems to me is super easy to do to somebody else and be like, oh, fuck that, right? But that doesn't mean that person has less ability to handle hard shit than I do. It's just we've had different experiences. I really, truly believe that most of us, as long as we can exercise it, those like muscles to endure, right? We're just going to get better at it. And we're just really going to get so much.
I like
are
that
gonna
analogy.
get easier.
That was amazing, right? And that's the mind. That's why number one is mindset.
Yeah, that's
My
why.
phone was ringing and it like got caught in the recording, and it was like the Marvel fanfare. So this freaking video better not get flagged because of that.
They're so picky about.
I know.
Kind of
I just got
things,
flagged for copyright because the song that I used for my intro,
Yeah.
I didn't realize. Well, it's only now.
Yeah.
There's this new rule. I have to put a code before every single one of my episodes now.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Madness.
I gotta be careful with that too because I'm doing a production this weekend.
Yeah,
for a
well,
video. Always
Well,
worry about those things.
when you do it for like social media, as long as you don't record the song, so you record the video,
Yeah.
and then like you know what's funny is I guess if you have a blue check mark, you can do whatever the fuck you want. I don't know.
Yeah.
It seems like it.
Yeah.
But everybody else, like you have to like make the edit and then find the song and then
Yeah.
put the song as the overlay because it has the name. Because it
Okay,
gives
okay,
credit
yep.
to them, I guess,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm no expert. If anybody listening is, then please let me know.
Yeah.
So I always ask all of my guests, right? Because so the podcast is the Mully, right? So it's a mullet, and I was actually growing a mullet. So I'm going bald in the front anyway, right? So I was growing a mullet, by the way, like because if you looked on the other episodes, the back's getting long, and I went to go get it cut, and she fucked it up. So I want to adjust the ears, but she went around, and you know what? It wasn't that bad because that people still wear it, but I didn't want that, so I got all fucking like a 2-year-old or like a 7-year-old, and I went home and I shaved it all off.
Oh, you did that thing.
Yeah, I was so pissed. I was so angry.
Yeah.
So right, the mullet, right? So it's business, party.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny because this episode is kind of like just blend of it all.
Yeah.
But I also use the word mully for mulligan, right? So in golf, a mulligan is a do-over.
Oh.
So you get a do-over. So like
Okay.
if you hit a bad shot and you're playing with a mulligan, they're like, okay, fine. Then it's like you race and you get to go again. So
Okay. I didn't know that. Thank you for teaching me. I always want to learn golf. But,
it's, you know what's crazy is children, I think, are better golf swingers because they just don't think, they just naturally swing.
yeah.
And us, like, we're so stiff.
So stiff.
And then it's like, that's why we suck. So if you had a mulligan in life, if you had one do-over,
Wow, that's a good question.
I know, I'll put you in the spot. What would it be?
If I had one do-over, I think I would spend more time with my father before he had passed away.
Oh, man.
So, when I was the first time I was training for competition, I trained for an entire year. That was my first competition ever. It took me a year to train, and you know how like excruciating that was.
Well, if you're doing 12 months out, that's even worse.
12 months out, yeah.
Who was your coach? Let me stab him.
Yeah, that was pretty insane, right? But you know how you do, like, you have to train, right?
Right, because they were doing it's your first show, so we're gonna
It's your
pre-prep you.
Pre-prep you,
and
but you
then-
were on diet the whole time.
Right, that's
It's a
too
whole
long.
year, right?
I'm like crying right now.
Yeah,
I know how bad that
it
is.
was pretty excruciating. That was the first time I ever trained for a show, and I learned a lot from it. But 2 weeks before the show, I got the word that my father was really sick.
Oh no.
It did turn out that I didn't make it to see him, and he passed. But what was really sad about that was because for the last 20 years, my father and I haven't really talked much at all, mostly because my military career. And he traveled a lot, and I had asked him to limit his communication with me because he traveled, and that might not be so good for my job. And, I have a lot of regrets there.
Sure.
Because I can't even, like he didn't have his family there in the end. and he had seen my son one time for 2 days. If I could do over, that's what I would do. Wow. I would appreciate the people in my life more. I am like you. I'm a perfectionist. I'm an overachiever. I like to achieve things, right? Because I know my parents sacrificed their entire lives,
right?
Their careers, everything about them for this American dream, for me to do what I want to do,
right? And
be awesome and be somebody, right? And they weren't thinking somebody great. They were just thinking like maybe make 40 grand a year and like, you know, like, and just be a regular.
Well, I can tell you right now, I know that he's looking down and he's happy as shit right now because you're killing it.
Thank you.
You're killing it. Come on, you have a full-time job plus a side gig, right? There's a family aspect in this. Yeah. And that just goes to show that things can be done if you have, number one, like you said, the right mindset. And I think I'm going to name this episode Mindset, like afterwards, like just because that's the key thing. Like to me, that's the biggest key takeaway that I've taken from this is get your mind right.
Yeah.
And I think that's the biggest thing. That's the biggest problem with people is there's excuses all the time. Oh, I can't. I mean, we're all guilty of it.
Yeah.
But the reality of it is like, nut up or shut up. You ever watch Zombieland? Woody Harrelson was like, nut up or shut up.
Shut up. Yeah.
And all he wanted was a motherfucking Twinkie. That's it.
You know,
Tallahassee.
That's what I want. I just want the Twinkie. You know what I mean? Like I just want a Twinkie in the end. But here's what I've learned really through my journey too, that it's not about the Twinkie in the end. It's about this journey.
It is. There we go.
The journey.
I'm glad you said that. Embrace the process.
Yes.
Because that is what gives you the character. That's what makes you who you are.
Yes.
And if you fail,
oh my God.
you did not fail. Because there's no such thing as failure.
There's no such thing.
Well, there is. Not trying.
Yeah.
That's it.
I tell you, like, you know, Will Smith always say, fail fast, fail often, right?
Right.
And that's what I'm trying to do. Like, I don't want to wait until things are perfect before I launch a business, before I launch this, before I launch
Just
that.
do it.
Because what I want to do at the end, it's, you know, I have this vision of my life, right? This vision of my life is to impact others, right? To make the life that my parents live worth something. But I realize how I do that isn't by accumulating things and money.
It's not.
I do it by making impacts into other people's lives.
Oh, I needed to do this show with you today. I needed to hear that.
Yes.
Oh,
right?
Man.
That's why we do this. We do this to impact other people's lives. But I imagine that I'm going to write a book. I imagine I'm going to do philanthropy stuff when I get older. And then I realize I have to backward plan it. Like, in order for me to do philanthropy, I have to have some money. In order for me to write a book, I have to have some shit to write about.
Right.
Right? So then I was like, all right, well, I'm in the military. That gives me a lot of stories, and I do have a lot of stories. But my life doesn't end there. My story doesn't end there.
No, it does not.
Because
and your legacy lives on.
My legacy.
You have a seed, right?
Yes.
Right. Like, same with me. And I think that's the thing is that we put so much pressure on ourselves to succeed, but success is inevitable and success is perceived, right? I just published it like a couple of days ago. So success in the dictionary was like accumulating wealth or celebrity status and all that shit. Right. But that is so untrue because success is not measurable. Everyone's definition of success is different, right? So guess what? I'll tell you right now, in your parents' eyes, you have succeeded, right? You went from with coal to, I mean, come on now, we're making a podcast.
Yeah, I know. That's why it's so exciting for me to be here right now, right? Like, have a platform to say what I want to say and to possibly maybe inspire even if just one person.
That's all that matters.
And that, to me, it means everything. I'm talking to that 12-year-old me sitting somewhere that doesn't think that she has nothing and she has to buy Goodwill clothes and everybody seems to be better, but she's home studying 5 hours a day. That was me trying to learn English and trying to.
I used to wear Goodwill clothes growing up, and I was embarrassed of it. Now my ass be shopping at Goodwill for vintage clothes because vintage is the shit.
Because vintage is the shit, right? But now you're older, you realize if you didn't go through that process, you still be over there, be like, oh, I don't want to shop at Goodwill clothes.
Yeah, no. Yeah, man, no. Right now, I'm like, man, I'm gonna shop at Goodwill. I wish I could buy uniforms at Goodwill for my son because private school is so damn expensive. I'm like, shit.
Oh,
like how much more do you
private
want?
school is
Like,
so expensive.
I know, but you know what? At least I'm glad that it's during the pandemic he got to attend.
Yeah,
because public schools couldn't. So, Tsway, like I'm gonna tell you this right now. This is probably one of my favorite episodes that I've done. I have to say that. Like this is, I think that the progression has gone down, like to a different level. Like making it fun, was my intent was to make it fun. That's why I was a mullet, right? But what I'm noticing is like the intent to help is overwhelming that part. But I think like, me having a beer talking about it, right? We took some bourbon before this, right?
Yes.
I think that's the aspect to let people know that it doesn't have to be serious to talk about serious topics.
Yes.
I think that we can share a story with people, help them to change their lives, but do it in a setting that's not so formal.
Yeah.
I think that's what it is like, we're just everyday people.
That's right. And I think it's so amazing you're doing this. I'll tell you why. It's because you are a single dad, right? You have a real job, just like me, right? But yet you have this passion. You want to help others. You want to put your voice out there, and you want to do better for your next generation.
Yes.
Which is
I have a girlfriend now, just so.
Right.
Because when she watches that single dad, but same thing. I know you know what I mean, right?
Right. I mean, like
yes.
I do recognize. I'm sorry,
because she might punch me in the face.
Yeah, I know.
No, but anyway, no, but right. But I'm sorry,
Right?
I didn't catch up. But yes, the passion to make change in people.
But that's the thing, right? Like I think more of us. The number one thing that I value is courage. Because growing up, I didn't have a lot of courage. I was scared of everything.
Same here.
Right? I didn't have courage. But when I first went to basic training and when I had to jump off that tower, right? And I see all the girls or all the females when they were kind of walking down because they were scared of it. And then at that moment, I was like that, right? Like I was definitely that person. But at that moment, I was like, fuck this.
And you just started running?
I was like, I am not going to do that. I want to be like the men. And I know that sounds so awful, but I wanted to be respected. I wanted to, I want to be bold for the first time in my life. And I just jumped off that thing. I kicked my legs and I went really far out and it felt exhilarating. And I was like, holy shit, I just did that. Like if I could do that, what else can I do?
Exactly, right? If we do not take risks, we will not get rewarded.
That's right. What else can I do? Woo! And I tell you over the years, now this is something else you don't know about me. Did you know that I have a shit ton of surgeries?
I would have never guessed.
I have 2 shoulder surgeries. I have shoulder. You see this scar right there?
Yep.
Actually, I had shoulder surgery here too, but the scar here is really small. Actually, this one's even more painful.
I got that too, but mine's a stretch mark.
I had ankle surgery. I had C-section. Had a terrible, like a horrible pregnancy, and I had another. Like stomach surgery for women's stuff. And, I've had so many things that it's proof that anybody can do it. It's proof. That's why I want to teach other women to level up and to be alphas because I know they can do it. I fucking do it. I mean, I am, first of all, I come from nothing. I was malnourished as a kid. I've had a bunch of surgeries and I can do it. So I know anybody can do it.
If Tsway can do it, so can you.
That's right.
What was it? If Yan can cook, so can you.
Oh my God, that's so awesome. Yes.
So it has been an absolute pleasure. I want to do a follow-up episode. I know you're like leaving the state. I refuse to do like Zoom style podcast. That's just my thing because to me it's more personal when it's face to face. But I think a follow-up episode we could do it because we've already done this. So please keep in touch.
Yes.
And I want to follow up and see how things are going, and maybe get one of your clients on too. Like,
that would be fantastic. And you know what? I am going to start a podcast.
I love it. Okay. And guess what? I will help mentor you on that. I'll teach you every aspect that I've even put this up before. If you guys want to learn how to do a podcast, I've done everything to do it. And I jumped into it straight to video. We're not even talking about audio. I went straight from, I'm going to do it big because I want to be the next Joe Rogan. But that's, you know what? I'm not going to be the next Joe Rogan. I'm going to be DC on the MIC because that's who I am,
that's
right? And it's Tsway Fitness in the building. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for Tsway. Thank you for being on the MULLY Podcast.
Thank you.
Alpha Female Fit. All right. Find them on Instagram. What is your Facebook, just in case?
It's Tsway Fitness. TSWAY Fitness.
All right. So it's right here. I'm messing it up. Tsway Fitness. So that is the company. The program is Alpha Female Fit. If you are interested, please, I'm telling you, get your mind right. Go on Instagram, fill out the application. Actually, like the reason why I knew about it because I went on there. I was gonna fill it out just before and see if you saw. What is this dude filling it out for? But I am stoked. This has been an absolute blessing, and ladies, please stay tuned and follow my girl.
Thank you, everybody. Appreciate everybody.
All right.